Something is happening right now in the corporate space, and I've been witnessing this slow progression over the last, I'm going to say, about 5 years now. High achieving women, just like you, are secretly planning their corporate escape, and they are making 2026 the year that they are doing it. If you are listening to this right now, there is probably something inside you that might have had this inkling as well, right? Something has felt a little bit different lately. And what I am seeing after speaking with women every single week who are in this place that are looking to transition out of their corporate jobs is that women are done. Okay, we are done, ladies. We are done. And the interesting thing about sort of the shift that is happening right now is that this shift did not come from a bunch of bad decisions or mistakes. It actually came from doing everything in your life the right way, the way that you were actually told to do it from when you were really, really, really young. And that's why we have sort of this deeper sort of inner conflict within us. Now, maybe if you're anything like me, you've known for a while that corporate life wasn't exactly aligned with you. I personally knew from the time I was pretty young, like I would say in my high school age, that I was made for more. And I kind of just pushed that feeling down inside of me and did what I was supposed to do, right? Did the right thing, which was go to university, get a really great job with a good corporate salary and good benefits and all the things. And, I would hopefully be happy. I always knew though that story wasn't going to be my story. Now, that might not be your experience. I speak to women every day who in the last 2 years have just been like, you know what? I can't do this anymore. And if that's you, that's completely fine. Okay. Either way, this is not about something that you have done wrong, right? And the women that are leaving their corporate jobs, like I mentioned earlier, they didn't do anything wrong either. But what they are ready for is what is next for them. And that is what we're going to be talking about today. Why women are actually making this shift and what they're doing instead. So here is what the numbers, yes, that's right. I did some research for this episode. Here is what the numbers are showing us right now. 6 in 10 senior women, so in senior positions in their corporate job, are burned out right now, which is the highest it has ever been in the history of them doing this survey. Things are only getting more stressful. Women leaders are constantly walking away from companies now at the highest rate ever recorded. This is from Psychology Today. And the reason why is because they are citing incredibly unmanageable stress and an overall lack of unfulfillment and connection to their purpose in their work. Does any of this sound like you? For almost 500,000 women left the workforce in the first 8 months of 2025. Something is happening. Okay, something is happening here. These are all incredibly smart, incredibly capable women, but they knew that they needed to do something different. Like I said, it's not that they, decided to go down the wrong career path. No, right? They went down what they thought was right for them, and then they outgrew that path. And that is a very different thing than making the wrong decision. So these women that are starting to leave companies, they are not just, calling it quits and not working. What are they doing instead? They are figuring out a way to build something of their own. And you've probably, if you're here, you've probably considered this as well. Today, I want to talk to you about why that is and what I personally have seen. Because if you are listening to this, you already know exactly what I am talking about. You are living this life right now. Likely, you are living a life that you feel is unaligned. Right? There's this friction within you and something needs to change. The thing is that I know that you are still showing up at work. You are still giving your 110% because that is the person you are, right? You are still doing a great job. Nobody at your office would even know that you are planning your corporate escape, right? And at the end of the day, like I said, you made sort of the smart, responsible choice up to this point. You did what you were supposed to do. You did what you were taught to do. And at the time, the choices that you made up to this point, they made sense. You got the degree. You earned the title. You built an amazing career for yourself. You got the salary. And everything that was asked of you, you did incredibly well. Right? This wasn't just like, oh, you floating by. I know that you give your 110% to every single thing that You do. And likely, if you're anything like my students, you are now sort of settled or sitting, right, inside of a life that you worked so hard to build. Maybe you spent a lot of money on a degree as well, but it doesn't feel like your life anymore. Is that you? Or maybe you knew deep down that this wasn't always going to be a forever thing, and now you know that it's time to do something different. This feeling might have crept up on you, right? Maybe it started with a little bit of like, I don't really love this position anymore. I don't mind the people that I work with. I don't mind my actual job. Maybe I just need to like find a remote job, or maybe I need to apply to a different job. Like that spark just isn't there. But slowly over time, you have been beginning to notice this more and more and more and more. And it's not only affecting now, your sort of mindset at work, but it's also affecting your mental sort of state as well. It's affecting you physically. You don't have time to go to the gym and take care of yourself, prepare healthy meals, all of that. And at this point, you likely feel like there is life out there to live, but you are not living it. That gap between where you are at right now and the life you know that you are made for continues to get harder and harder and harder to ignore. That is something I have seen in myself and in the women that I work with as well. Now, sometimes women misinterpret this as a sign of burnout. They're like, oh, I'm just burnt out. I just need to take a vacation. But being burnt out means you need to rest. And if we're being honest, okay, you and I, if we're being honest, you taking a rest is not going to solve this, right? You've probably tried that, honestly. Ultimately, this is not something you can just take a rest from, because this is like deep misalignment with your core purpose and your core values. The life that you built and the life that you want to be living are no longer the same thing. And no amount of, paid time off or unlimited vacation time is going to fix that. Let's be real. This isn't something that, you're just having like a bad week, or, you're definitely not like ungrateful for this role, but you've just outgrown the place that you are in. And I know that you know this. I know that you are up at night and thinking about what I can do to get out of this. And not everybody is like that, right? That's something else that I want to just call out here too, is that you might think, oh, everyone's kind of just like this right now. Maybe this is just like a phase that everybody goes through. It's not. Okay, it's not. You are different, but you are also comfortable enough to stay, but uncomfortable enough that staying in your current role actually feels wrong. I call this being comfortably uncomfortable. You haven't left your role yet. You're still giving your 110%, but you're not okay either. And the longer that you stay in this place, like I said, the heavier this is going to weigh on you. And likely you've been experiencing this over the last few months, maybe even over the last few years. I know that I was in that comfortably uncomfortable place for like 2 years when I was in my corporate job. And I was thinking a lot about this because I'm like, I want to share a story. Of course, right hand revolution, I got to share a story. So I was thinking, okay, what sort of story could I share today that would really illustrate where you are at right now? And immediately, and this might just be because I came back from vacation myself, I went to getting on the wrong flight. Okay, so I want you to imagine this for a moment. I want you to imagine that you are on a very, very, very long flight. Okay, you are paid to upgrade to business class. You've invested a lot of money into this flight. You have like the lay down seats. You've got you're on the airline that gives you like pajamas. You are like living your best life. The service is amazing. They're bringing you everything. They have like a Michelin star, menu that you can like order from on the flight. Everything about this flight is amazing. When you tell people about this flight, they're gonna not even believe that you went on something like this because this experience is wild. But somewhere over the Atlantic Ocean, all right, somewhere over the Atlantic, you look out the window and you realize, uh-oh, I think this plane is going to the wrong city. The flight hasn't been bad. You've had a great experience on the flight. You love everything about the flight, but you're heading to the wrong destination. And the longer that, you keep staying on that plane and not saying anything to anybody, you're just going to continue, right, going along to that final destination. The longer you stay on it, the further away from that destination that you want to go to, you are getting. That's what this likely feels like for you. Likely, you are sitting on a very comfortable plane right now. You're sitting on a comfortable plane and it's taking you somewhere, but where is it actually taking you? And what matters more, sitting on a comfortable plane or going to the actual right destination? Of course, you want to go to the right destination. And this is what it's like in your current job, right? Like your job is not terrible. The money is great. And this whole flight situation, it feels great too. You paid a lot of money for business class. Maybe you paid a lot of money to go to school to learn your current, the career that you're in right now, to learn the skills for that. To pay for that business class seat, you work hard, right? You worked hard to pay for that seat. You earned that seat, right? You earned it. But you've probably known for a while. So like I said, you are not in a bad situation. You're actually in a good situation, just like in that business class flight, right? But you are headed in the wrong direction. Even though you earned that seat, you earned that spot, and the flight is fine, the ultimate destination you're going to is wrong. It's wrong. And the longer you stay sitting in that seat, the further you're going to get away from where you actually want to be. Now, the question is, how do we get out of this plane, right? How do we actually get out of this plane without just opening the door and jumping out without a parachute? It's a really tricky thing as women in a corporate job to think about, how am I actually going to do this in a way that is smart, that is responsible, that's stable, and where I don't actually have to start everything over from scratch. Now, there is another layer to this in 2026. Something else that makes this feeling even harder to sit with at the moment is that the world outside of your office is changing too. And it's starting to make this decision feel more urgent for you, whether you feel 100% ready to dive into building your own online business or not. The world is changing every single day. Maybe you even have, if you're anything like me, you likely have some friends, smart, qualified, highly experienced women who are literally sending out resumes right now because they got laid off and they haven't heard back. Layoffs are happening. They are happening at companies where nobody thought they would ever get laid off. Or alternatively, you may have been working from home and now you're getting fully called back into the office 5 days a week. No conversation. You're just like getting called back in. It's not even an option to stay at home anymore. You don't have a choice in how you're working, even though you're more productive working from your home, right? The other thing is inflation, right? We cannot skip over that. Inflation is real. And the cost of everything has gone up. But the thing is that your salary has not increased to keep up with inflation, has it? No. 34% of people right now are actually taking a lower paying job just to protect their mental health, which is wild. And 22% of people right now out there are quitting their corporate job without having anything lined up at all, which is wild and absolutely not what I recommend that you do, for the record, okay? But the safe choice, the choice we were talking about earlier, is not as safe as it used to be. And I don't think I need to tell you that, right? You probably know that. You probably just haven't, admitted it to yourself, right? Because you worked really hard to get where you're at right now. But, all right, you do know it. And I know that deep down within your soul, you carry sort of this restlessness within you. I know that you get home from your corporate job and you are researching at like 11 p.m. You are listening to business building podcasts. You are, taking, a free webinar on your lunch break. Like you are trying to figure out a different way to live your life, create the life that you've always wanted. I know that you probably haven't told anybody this, right? I know you're probably keeping it inside because you don't want to have to explain yourself. And if it doesn't work out, you don't want to have to, have the judgments of other people in your life. I know for me, that is, that was a big thing, is what are other people going to think about this? What opinions am I going to get from the people around me? Even though I knew I wanted to do this, even though I was confident in myself, I still had those fears and hesitations. It's totally, totally, totally normal. And what I have realized after working with hundreds of women all around the world to help them create that corporate escape plan in the smartest way possible is that most women, they know that they want to do something different, but they are just waiting to ultimately feel certain enough to take that next step. The reality is that in 2026, staying in your corporate job is actually substantially riskier than creating something of your own, something that you can actually build. The only thing that is guaranteed in this world right now is that nothing is guaranteed. Things are literally changing every day. And the women, ultimately, who are going to be okay are the ones building something that they can actually own, something that they are in full control of. So if you are sitting here thinking, okay, Rebecca, all this is great. I know all of this. I know that something needs to change, but I am scared of getting it wrong and losing everything that I have worked so hard for. Let's talk about that. Okay, let's talk about that, because from my experience, you likely have this completely backwards, okay? And I mean that in the best possible way, but what you think of as entrepreneurship actually isn't the reality in today's day and age, especially when you do it in a way that actually is going to work for smart corporate women just like you. So the thing that you likely have wrong right at this moment is that you think that you have a choice between staying where you're at or starting over. Okay, that really is the biggest thing that I hear from the women that I work with is, Rebecca, I have worked so hard in this company to get to where I'm at. Rebecca, I have done all of this schooling, and we think that we have to make a choice, right? Do I leave all of this behind? Do I leave my entire life behind, blow up my entire life, and start over? The thing that I want you to start thinking about, and what I want you to understand, is that leaving does not mean giving up everything you've built and starting over from scratch. That is not the choice you need to make here. The choice isn't, should I blow it up or should I not blow it up? Absolutely not. Because you are not starting from zero. So you're not starting from scratch. And you've never been starting from scratch because of all of the amazing experience that you have. The skills that you have built over a decade plus, the way that you think, the way that you communicate, the way that you anticipate people's needs, the way that you keep everything from falling apart. Those are not valued corporate skills. And you probably know that, right? But what they are business skills. The market is desperately, and when I say desperately, I mean desperately. They are desperately looking for exactly who you are. Exactly what you do every single day. And ultimately, up to this point, you have been giving the best parts of yourself, all of your creativity, all of your thought, your kindness, your consideration, all of that. You have been giving it to a company, getting a flat salary, and having ultimately no ownership and no equity in that business. That is why people just are being laid off left, right, and center. They don't feel like they owe you anything, even though you have given your entire life to them. So the smartest next step for a woman like you is not to blow up every single thing that you have worked for. That does not make any sense. Absolutely not. The smartest thing to do is actually to take everything that you already have, everything that you have built, and actually create something of your own from that place. Something that is ultimately really aligned with your values and the impact that you actually want to make in the world. And ultimately, that is not starting over, right? What we are doing instead is actually taking everything that you are and redirecting it, pouring it back into you. So this misalignment that you are feeling, this is not a, crisis. I don't want you to think of this as like, oh my God, what do I need to do? I have to blow up my entire life. No. I want you to actually use this as a compass that is telling you that you've just outgrown the situation that you have been in, right? And it was right at some point, but it's just not right anymore. Everything that you have built, everything that you have worked hard for has not been a waste, because you can actually take that and redirect it and get ready to go, build it inside of something that is meant for you, made for you. At the end of the day, you are not some, amateur that has this wild dream that is never going to happen. And you might feel like that right now, right? Starting a business can feel like that, especially when you've spent a lot of your life in a one role, right? But ultimately, you are a seasoned professional, all right? You are freaking amazing. And you have a decade plus of results walking into, and what I just need you to really understand is that you are not some amateur person that just has this wild dream that is impossible and incredibly risky. That is not what is happening here. You are a seasoned professional. Okay, a seasoned professional with over a decade of results, and you are going to walk into a market that is hungry for exactly what you do and who you are. So the question was never really, do you have what it takes? Even though this might be something that you've been asking yourself, Rebecca, do I really have what it takes to start my own business? That is not the question here, okay? Because you do. The answer is yes, you do have everything that it takes. The question is, are you going to keep giving everything that it takes to somebody else's company, to somebody else's life? Or are you going to finally listen to yourself and build something of your own? Now, I know at this point I know that the women that are planning their corporate escape, aka you, likely have done a lot of research because that's the kind of people that we are. And the path that exists for you looks nothing like what you think it's going to look. I know that the internet is selling you all kinds of things right now. Okay, I know they're selling you all kinds of things that you probably feel like are a bit too good to be true. And newsflash, if they sound too good to be true, they are. Okay, but you can create an online business that actually feels stable and has the security, if not more security, than your corporate job. And the best part about it is that you do not need to build a website. You do not need to post content on Instagram or do dances on TikTok. You do not need to choose a niche. You don't need to start over and work for like $20 an hour. Absolutely not. The other thing is you do not have to give up your income. You don't need to quit your corporate job until you actually have something to replace that income with. There is a way, okay? There is a way, and the smartest women that are moving out of their corporate role today have understood this, that you can start with what you already have and move faster and build this business faster than you think because you have all of that experience. Everything that makes you the woman that everybody relies on in that meeting room, that is your competitive advantage here when it comes to building your own online business. I don't want you to think, that you're going to leave all of that behind when you go, okay? You are going to take it with you. You're going to bring it along for the ride. And you're finally also going to start getting paid for all of those things. Finally start getting paid for the value you bring and for your worth. Now, I know what is coming next in your head, okay? I know what is coming next in your head because I have talked to hundreds of women in exactly your position. And the next thought is always the same. It is always the same. Okay, Rebecca, all this sounds good. I'm interested. I'm curious, but I'm not ready just yet. I'm not ready just yet. I need to feel a little bit more ready. I need to do a little bit more research, before I do anything. It's a busy time at work right now. Let's talk about that. I know that you are waiting to feel ready. I know it. Okay. I know that you are waiting for that fear, those butterflies inside you to go away. You're waiting for that sign. I know you're waiting for the perfect moment where everything just lines up and it feels safe enough to actually take that next step. I know that you're waiting for the time where you don't have anything else to do in your life. But that moment is not coming, okay? It's never going to come before you take action. Feeling ready, feeling confident, feeling all the things you are waiting for only comes after you start moving. And I know that this is like contradictory, right? But it is, right? I want you to think back to when you were in university and you graduated university and you got your first job. How did you feel that first day on the job? Even though you just did 4 years of university, or maybe even longer than that, you still felt nervous on that first day. And it wasn't until you actually got in there, you learned how things were done, you started doing your job where you felt more confident. And this is the exact same thing that happens when you are building your own business. Every single woman who has built a successful online business will tell you this exact same thing. She felt ready about, 6 to 9 weeks in to actually building the business, right? Once she actually started moving and making progress. Now, the coolest part is that more women are realizing this, right? 49% of all new businesses started are now led by women, which is so cool. Up 69% since 2019. That is a wild stat, all right? And these are not reckless women. These are women just like you. They're women who made a smart and considerate decision, and they decided to stop waiting, take what they already had, and do something better with it, something for themselves. The confidence, ultimately, that you are waiting to feel before you actually get started does not come before action. It comes because of the action. The women that are doing this right now were not more ready than you. They just stopped waiting to feel ready and took action anyway. About a year ago, I worked with a student who came from an HR background. She was a manager in the HR department in the company she worked at. And this was something that she actually went to school for, and she had done this position in a few different companies over her years. She made all of the right choices. She built the right life, okay? She bought a condo. She, started investing her money. She had like an emergency fund. She was doing all of the very, very, very responsible things. And she was like set. She could have just stayed in that role forever. The company that she worked with was a really, really, really great company. She had a really nice salary of about $95,000, I think maybe even $100K a year, which is great for that level of management in HR. But one day she realized, right, same thing, she was like sitting at her desk, probably doing some, menial task. She realized that this wasn't the life that she actually wanted. Now, for this student, she was a single mom, and while she felt, obviously this want within her to actually move forward and start her business, she wasn't just thinking of herself. She needed to think of her son as well. It was so important to her that she had the stability to be able to give him the life that she wanted. But what was even more important, was she felt like she was missing out on the best moments of her son's life because of her work. She couldn't pick him up. He had to go to daycare all the time. By the time she picked him up, he was tired. She was tired. It was like not a good situation for everybody who has small kids. You know how that is, right? I think the thing with her, when I spoke to her on our first call together, was, she was tired, okay? She was tired. She was exhausted. She definitely didn't have time to do this. She did not have time to do this. But one of the first things she said to me was, Rebecca, I just feel like this role that I'm in is just not where I want to go in my life. I just know that this isn't where I want to go, and it's not the example that I want to be for my son. I want to show him that you can actually create something for yourself. I want to do work that I'm actually proud of. So she was talking about sort of this gap between where she is right now, which everything looked great, right? Everything looked great. She had the great job, great money, everything was good, but she felt this sort of gap between where she was and the life that she wanted. Now, she did absolutely not just up and leave her job. But what she did was she started finding the time to actually build something of her own that used those past skills, that used those talents that she had actually built. And within 3 months, she landed her first client. And that first client she landed was a $3,000 a month VA client. Her first client. Okay, first client. Now, all right, now her business has like blown up. She makes about $10,000 a month in her VA business. She picks her son up from school every single day. Okay, every single day. And even I think last week, she pulled him out and they had like a little fun day together on Friday. Like he just didn't go to school and she was off. She decided that she didn't want to work on Fridays anymore. So she set her business up that way. And now she's literally out there being able to spend more time with her son, but also being the example for her son of what is possible when you decide to go all in on yourself and make that sort of misalignment realign. The one thing that stayed with me the most about this student specifically was that she, from the beginning, was so concerned about all of her experience up to this point. She was like, Rebecca, like, I feel like it's kind of a little bit wrong for me to even change careers at this point because I've invested so much of my life into this career. And when she said that to me, I completely felt it because I felt the exact same way when I left my corporate job to start my online business as well. But I told her the same thing I'm going to tell you right now, and that is that when you start an online business that actually uses all of those skills and all of those talents, not only are you going to be able to just transfer them directly over, but you're going to be able to see success so much faster because you actually don't need to learn any new skills. You're literally just taking what you already have and getting started with them. That's literally as simple as it is. The coolest part is that this student is not the exception by any means, all right? She is just an example of what can happen. She had everything that you had, okay? She felt everything that you are feeling right now. The only difference between and you right now is that she decided to find out what was possible. She got curious. She decided that the life that she wanted was actually worth this, right? Worth this shift, betting on herself, and then went for it, right? To see what would happen. So now I want to show you how you can do the exact same thing. So if you are that woman, all right, if you are her, if you are smart, if you are thoughtful, if you are intentional, if you are the person that everybody counts on, I have a feeling you are secretly planning your corporate escape this year as well. So maybe this episode gave you some words for what you've kind of been feeling. Maybe it explained things a little bit more. And maybe you've started to realize that that feeling that you have, it's not actually a problem. It's an answer. It's showing you that yes, you should absolutely explore what is available for you. Because if you have had this feeling like I did for years, even if you've had it for months, you know that you are made for more. You know that you are different. And now it's time to do something different. You have built something real with your career. That is absolutely something that you should be proud of, 100%. And you don't have to just walk away from it. You get to take that with you. You get to take everything. You get to finally take it, but do something for you. Build something that is yours, that you own, that you are in control of. I know that you have spent those years being the most capable woman in every single meeting room you have ever been in. And I already know, and you already know, that corporate is not where your story ends. So I would love to invite you to join me live in an upcoming session of Kiss Your 9 to 5 Goodbye, okay? And discover how women just like you are turning their corporate experience into 100K plus freedom-based virtual assistant businesses this year, by doing the complete opposite of what everyone online is telling you to do. As a high-achieving, smart, incredible woman, this is the smartest path for you to start your own online business. So what I want you to do is head down to the show notes, or if you're on YouTube, you can go down to the video description. And in the show notes or the description, you are going to find a link to join me at my next session. I'll see you there, and I'll catch you on the next one.